Hashem's loving grace, tonight is our second lesson of the bond of Emunah. Talk all about marriage, but each lesson is an individual module. Tonight's lesson is finding your soulmate. Now, if you're already married, this is going to help you find a soulmate for one of your children or one of your friends, and it'll help you improve your own marriage also. And if you're not married, this is important information you need to help finding your soulmate. And people that have come to me and said they have been backed up, they haven't been able to find their soulmate because maybe they're looking for the wrong things. Okay, to have to find, you lost something. This is the other half of your soul. You have to be looking for that. Okay, so let's start with this one main idea that a lasting marriage begins with finding your soulmate. Okay, to have a lasting marriage, you have to have a soulmate. Okay, Hashem personally decides. I'm going to teach you a lesson, a word in Yiddish called your beshert is. Your beshert, that's your destined or your intended. That's your intended match. Okay, why do we say it's intended and destined? Because the Gemara, in 3 places, the Gemara says that 40 days before a baby's conception, a heavenly voice declares that the daughter of so-and-so is destined for so-and-so. So before Hashem knows that baby's going to come into the world, before that baby is even conceived, it's already declared up in heaven who that baby's match is going to be, and that's talking about a soulmate. So our soulmate is predetermined according to divine direction. We learned all about divine direction. We had a special chapter on shidduchim, on matchmaking. I'm going to go back, if you have a copy of Divine Direction that turned into a book, you can see that chapter, but we'll be going through a few of the points we brought down there. Okay, who is your soulmate? And why do we say a soulmate? It's not like a partner. I call it a body mate. What Western society calls a body mate. It's called soulmate. Why a soulmate? Because this is the individual that will best aid you in attaining your soul correction and accomplishing your mission on earth. Now just stop and think. Before you came down here, your soul was under the heavenly throne. It was so close, so close that you can't get any closer proximity to the Almighty. So a basic existential question is, why does Hashem take a soul that's so close to him and throw him away to the furthest spiritual realm away from the heavenly throne? Even purgatory is closer to the heavenly throne than the physical world. Because in purgatory, everyone knows what the truth is. Everyone knows that there's a creator, and everyone knows that he's a omniscient and almighty. Everyone knows that, okay? But here in this world, few people know that. And that's why this is the first place. This is the spiritual freeze. This is the Antarctica for the spirituality. So when we look at marriage, and see why marriage, we spoke last week, it's just not lasting because people are looking for bodily characteristics. But marriage is important. The importance is finding the right partner, the right soul partner, that's the right individual. Because here's the thing, as opposed to the body, we all know what the body's needs are. We all know what the body's looking for. Okay, but few people know what the soul is looking for. What is the soul looking for in a bond with its other half? The other half of the soul. These are the words of the Zohar, that a husband and wife, a man and woman, the 2 halves of one soul. And this is why the voices declare, the heavenly voice, before the baby's even conceived, because the soul is already there. The body hasn't been conceived yet, but the soul is there. And Hashem knows he's going to take this one soul and he's going to split it up to a male part and a female part. And then he decrees, the heavenly decree is that they'll come back together at a certain point in time. Now, you've probably got a lot of questions about that. If that's the decree, then why are there divorces and why are there second marriages? We're going to answer all that, okay? Don't circumvent. And if you don't have your question answered within the body of the lesson, then you can ask at the end when everybody has a chance to find questions. So the soul has 3 main objectives when it wants a partner. The first objective of the soul is to cling to Hashem. And sometimes that soul, it needs help in clinging to Hashem. I'll give you an example. The Gemara says that an arrogant person can't cling to Hashem. It's far away from Hashem, because Hashem says that he, an arrogant person, can't be in the same world. Now just imagine, men, how would you be Popeye the Sailor Man with your nose up the air if you didn't have a wife to bring you back into reality every once in a while? Okay, so a man must have a wife to bring him back to reality. I said, whoa, she's giving you a hard time. Of course she's giving you a hard time, because your nose is up in the air and bring it down. Boop, 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 boop. You got to get a few puffs on the nose. Okay, that's the job of the wife. And people complain about the wives. That's her job. That's her job. This is to keep us humble. Keep us, as someone said, what, you mean I've got to be submissive? Yes. Yes, this week, did you come? Yeah, he goes, I got to be submissive. Yes, you got to be submissive. That's exactly right. Because without her, imagine if you were married to some little Japanese geisha, and she said, oh, yes, yes, yes. And she'd say, here's your coffee, and here's your slippers. And you'd think you're King Farouk, and you'd be so arrogant. That's not good, because maybe it's got light comfort for you, but you'd have a sense of entitlement, and you'd be far away from Hashem. Okay, so the first thing is our soul mate helps us cling to Hashem. Second, our soulmate helps us attain our rectification. Hashem created the world in such a way that it's very, very difficult for a person to attain a rectification of the soul alone. And you need a partner to do that in most cases. And the third is to accomplish our mission on earth. In addition to rectification of the soul is something that a blemish person has to correct in the soul. That's the rectification. But the purpose on earth, whether it is you're developing a way to teach special needs kids, you're developing a cure for cancer, you're bringing peace to the world, you're doing something where you're making your mark in the world, you're making the world a better place just by being a nice person, just saying good morning to everyone. You're the nicest person on the block. This is your soul correction, to make the world a better place. Okay, so this is accomplish our mission on earth. So once again, the three purposes of the soul in getting married is number one, to cling to Hashem, number two, to attain its rectification, and number three, to accomplish its mission on earth. And if the soul did not have its mission on earth, Hashem wouldn't bother sending it down, because now you can understand. And we say to people all the time, people say, oh, Rabbi Lazer, you just flatter me, you just try to make me feel good. No, that you are so special. And what it means that you are so special, Hashem doesn't do things for anything. If you are in the world, it means that the world cannot function without you performing your mission on earth. So you got to do your mission on earth. All right, now, back to the body. Unless the body is subjugated to the soul, the body hinders the soul in a big way, because all the body cares about is its appetites, fulfilling its appetites, and that's physical amenities. So the body is looking for a body mate, where the body sees all these lewd magazines and movies and all this type. The body gets all these imagine fantasies in its mind. The body is Fantasyland, Walt Disney Fantasyland, and that's what the body's looking for. But that doesn't accomplish anything that the soul needs. And the soul doesn't get closer to Hashem, gets further away from the Hashem. Doesn't receive a rectification, makes it even worse, puts more blemishes on the soul, and certainly doesn't perform its mission on earth. Okay, so the body, what's love for the body? Love for the body is physical infatuation. Hey, the guy will tell a girl anything in the world. He'll lie to his teeth that he loves her and everything just to get his physical gratification. And some gullible girls, I believe it. That's got nothing to do with love. Nothing at all to do with love. Okay, so with all this in mind, to build a lasting bond of emunah, we have to pray and search for a soulmate, and we have to put the body aside and let the soul rule over the body. And we've got to look for the person who will share a special, lifelong soul commitment of seeking enhanced priority to Hashem, enhanced proximity to Hashem, and to attain our soul correction and to perform our mission on earth. And we do that together. That the two halves of the soul, we do that together. So people are out there looking for the wrong things, that they can't find. They can't find the soulmate. They're looking for the wrong things. So if you're not married yet, today's lesson is going to help you find your bashert, your intended. And if you are married, it's going to help you not only be a better spouse, but find the right match for your kids. Okay, one thing is, by us being better husbands and better wives, we set examples for our kids, and we make it intrinsically easier for our kids to find their soulmates. Okay, there's one additional thought before we embark on our mission to find a soulmate. Before agreeing to marry is the only time we should evaluate the candidate. Okay, once we agree to marry, then we no longer evaluate the other person. It's all becomes self-evaluation. We evaluate yourself. We don't look for blemishes in someone else. And that is a key to marital peace. So marital peace already starts from engagement. It starts what we call in Hebrew the tnaim. You saw the engagement. It already starts with engagement. Because until the engagement, check each other out. This is the right person, not the person, got this characteristics, not that characteristics. Once the engagement is done, and certainly after the wedding, no longer assess the other side, only assess ourselves. Okay. Why do people not find their soulmates? Let's look at a few main reasons. Okay, number one, they're looking for yichus. Yichus in Hebrew is for the blue blood, the pedigree. They're looking for the pedigree. Okay, and Yiddish and Hebrew, yichus means the pedigree, but it means the blue-blooded pedigree. Now, it's important. A pedigree is important when the current generation follows in the path of the previous generations. For the previous generations, they had righteous great-grandfathers. That doesn't help much if the righteous great-grandfathers in this generation are spending their time in the pool hall and the bowling alley. So don't say your great-grandfather was a big Talmudic scholar. And okay, where are you? He's a champion bowler. That doesn't help. Okay, the pedigree is only worth it when the generation follows in the path of previous generations. Okay, that's one thing. So don't look for the pedigree, look for the character traits. Second, big time mistake, and I've seen tragedy time after time, where people look for money. People look for money. Money is wonderful if it's in the hands of righteous people, if it's in the hands of philanthropic people, and if it's in the hands of compassionate people. And if a person is philanthropic, righteous, and compassionate, they could do great things with money. But if not, it's not worth anything more than arrogance and snob appeal. And it's a lot of physical amenities, arrogance, and snob appeal. And both arrogance and snob appeal, they disperse from Hashem. They take a person away from Hashem. So what happens? Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says that one of two things happen to money. He says either Hashem takes the money away from the person, or Hashem takes the person away from the money. But money and people just don't stay together. So if a person marries someone for money, and there's all types of horror stories, I'm going to go into the things that cases that I've dealt with where people married for money. When people marry for money, it just doesn't stay. It doesn't stay together. Okay. So marrying for money is the last thing in the world can assure a lasting relationship. You know, as long as the money is there, then it's okay. If the money's not there, then there's no more basis for the relationship. And that is like leaning on this wobbly monetary crutch. Imagine a person that's lame. And instead of walking on a stick, he's walking on a stick made out of $100 bills. It's going to crunch. You can't lean on that. Okay. So as soon as the crutch disappears, person falls on his face. And that's what happened. Okay. So they say that the pedigree doesn't work and the money doesn't work. Now, what's the third physical amenity that people look for? Ooh, Western society, good for good looks. Guy looks for the girl with the size 4 and the model figure. And she looks for the guy with the 6-pack abs and the 21-inch biceps from the gym. And hey, they're usually gone in a few years. A few years after child number 2, she's not a size 4 anymore. And after he's in the office for a couple of years, the 6-pack abs become 4-pack abs, then 2-pack abs, and no abs at all. Okay, a little bit the midriff. And we see this all the time. I see this in my physical clients. Okay, so if then the looks are, unless a person really makes a concerted effort to eat healthy and to work out hard. By the way, it's staying looking good. It's 80% eating and only 20% in the gym. People get that all wrong. It depends what you eat. You can't be in the gym and eat junk food. And it's still, the guy's got iron stomach muscles. If he's flabby and eats a lot of white flour and white sugar, he's not going to have the 6-pack abs. So if you're looking for Mr. or Miss Hollywood, it's kind of like the money, because it's not going to last. The good looks do not last. And something even worse. People with movie star looks usually have movie star character. Movie star character is bad news. Movie star character that's egocentric, that's all, and a person's on a high with himself, has no care or no cognizance of what's going on with the other people, with the other person. And that's why it's a known thing that the Hollywood actors, they're married 6, 7, 8 times. I don't want to marry because don't want to mention because of rabbinical discretion. But one particular very, very popular Hollywood actor from about 10 years ago television show star. And his spiritual guide, he wasn't Jewish, his spiritual guide, Laser Brody, and used to hear all about his problems and his problem with his eighth wife and his problem with it's not what you think. It's not what you think. And all the money, the guy made millions of bucks and spends it all on alimony. The third wife gets this much alimony, and the fifth wife gets this much alimony. That is, you couldn't sleep at night. I don't know how the guy sleeps. Of course, he's on the sauce all the time. So, Mr. and Miss Hollywood, it doesn't work. But people are running after it, looking for the Hollywood looks and the movie star gorgeous. And usually, the great looks don't come with good character, because someone with great looks, they're relying on their great looks. The Miss Queen of the class, she's the high school queen. She knows everybody worships her. Everybody worships her good looks. She doesn't have to culture her character, her good character. And good looks, they don't stay. If a person is mean, a person yells, when you're married to a person who may look gorgeous and they don't smile and they yell, it's a face that look like Dracula. The good looks, they're gone. They're gone. Good looks depend on character. And you could see a person with maybe the guy is so plain looking, and the girl said, "Well, Rabbi, I want a nice looking guy." So look good. If the guy, all he has to be is 2 levels better looking than a chimpanzee. If he's 2 levels, by 1 level, I agree with you. Okay, 2 levels better looking than a chimpanzee. He's a good character. If the guy's got a good character, he's going to be attractive. And people look for Miss America, but if she doesn't have a good character, you are going to suffer. And a lot of people, they did, that's another mistake they made. Fourth mistake they made. Okay, what we say, people are looking for pedigrees, and people are looking for money, and people are looking for good looks. And now what's the fourth mistake parents make? They're looking for what they call in Yiddish, the spitz. The spitz is the best boy in the class and the best girl in the class, the sharpest guy in the shiva. You know what spitz means? What the spitz is, the tip. It's the sharp point. They call sharp point spitz because the guy's got a sharp head. He's sharp. But I say interpret different. Spitz is like a point of a needle. You get stuck with it. The guy, he's every called number 1, is the smartest guy in the class. So he too, he's arrogant as they come. And it's not that you take a plain guy who knows he's not the smartest guy. He's got to learn that page of Talmud 100 times. 100 times. I know when I was in rabbinical school, I was an agriculture graduate. And there were guys that were law graduates, Harvard Law, and a guy penned business, and people that had triple IQ they remember things after one time. I'd learned some stuff 100 times to get to the level, 100 times, and worked so hard. There were plenty of nights for tests. I cried, plenty of nights. But you see, it's like the tortoise and the hare. And I had with a lot of these brilliant classmates where they ended up, and where the tortoise laser, where he is. It doesn't matter. In the long run, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so put the spitz aside. The spitz is also going to be full of arrogance, and is not going to be a nice son-in-law, and not going to be a nice daughter-in-law. If you get that guy, that the spitz, he thinks he's the best boy in the shiva, he thinks he's going to know more than his father-in-law. And the girl that she thinks, she's not going to listen to her mother-in-law. You're not going to have a good relationship with either. Okay, so in most cases, like they say, the spitz in Yiddish, it sticks, it hurts. Okay, so now I say that there's the 4 big mistakes that people make. Okay, they look for the best kid in the class, the most intelligent. They look for the best looks. They look for a family with money, and they look for a family with a pedigree. Nothing that we just mentioned will ensure the happiness of your son and daughter. Nothing. And stop and think. When I'm looking around, I'm looking at faces here, and I see those of you that know your families and know your kids, and the kids are happily married, and they're married to regular kids from wonderful families, and that's so remarkable. But they get the characters are impeccable, and the kids are happy. And when your kids are happy, you're fantastic. Your grandchildren are going to be happy, and everybody's going to be happy. You know something? When there's happiness and there's a bond of the soul, they were talking, a bond of emunah, they're going to have parnas, they're going to have income, they have good health, they have everything. Okay. So now stop and think. What are you getting married for? And why are you marrying off your children? For the neighbors? Oh, so that people in the synagogue can say, oh, we married the best boy in the shiva. For your own ego trip? And you got to do something, what we say, assess ourselves, because a lot of people do this. It's their ego trip that the highbrows in the synagogue, oh, they're married to the best family in London. Oh, come on. Okay, but the kids are miserable. And then they're already, when they're miserable, they come to Laser with the Shalom Bride problems, or somebody like Laser. Okay, you know this, it's all a big bluff with a capital B, B-L-U-F-F. It's all a bluff. And everything that is done for the benefit of the facade on the outside, that's cosmetic. At night, you wash away and you're left with the real face. Okay, the makeup goes away. Now, the Zohar, this is not my words, this is words of the Zohar. What you're hearing from me is a practical difference to what Rabbi Shlit'a says in the Zohar. The Zohar calls the world Alma Deshika. This is the world of deceit, the world of lies, okay, the world of falsehood. So we see what many people regard as the dream shidduch. Shidduch in Hebrew means match, the dream match. Shidduchim is matchmaking. Shadchan is matchmaker. Okay, these are words that we roll off our tongue, but I'll try to stick to English. Okay, people dream the dream match, and they talk about the money, and they talk about the pedigree, and they talk about this, they talk about the lineage, all kinds of stuff. Okay, and they talk about the high academic status. Not a single parameter in that dream match marries, because if you don't have the good heart is the one on the left side of the check. Maybe pedigree is nice, okay? Per the fact the person is intelligent, that's nice. Person that don't have the good heart and the good character traits, it's all 0, 0, 0, 0. You can have all these extra traits, but it's got the good heart and the good character. That's the one on the left side of the check. If you don't have that one on the left side of the check, you're left with nothing. And sometimes it's worth nothing, because you spent a lot of money on a wedding, or a lot of money helping a new couple get a flat or something like that, and you're sitting with debts. It's not nothing. You're in the hole. Okay, and now they're not happy either. Oh my goodness, heaven forbid. Nothing could be a bigger curse for a parent to marry off a child and to spend all this money and all this time and all this effort and to find it and then not be happy. Or if you're marrying off yourself, you go to all the effort and then find out and it's not right. No way. No way. So the chances are those 4 things I mentioned, pedigree, money, good looks, and academic stature, that if they come without a fantastic good heart and without the fear of God, you've got the formula for a narcissist. It is not fun to be married to a narcissist. It's not fun, because a narcissist won't see you. You won't have a partner. The narcissist, he's got a partner. He looks in the mirror and he's got a partner. That's the only partner that the narcissist cares about. Okay, so that brings us to the situation we just saw. This is the losing game, the 4 things that mistakes people look for. Okay, now we're going to look for the right thing. Look for the good heart, the few people look for. Okay, if you find somebody with good character and emunah and a good heart, go to your rabbi, get a marriage contract, sign the dotted line. Sign the dotted line. That's the 3 things you want. Emunah, a good character and a good heart, home free. You're going to be happy for the rest of your life. What's it, one song? If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, you got to marry an ugly wife. Take my personal point of view. Marry a girl who will love you. Okay, maybe if she loves you, she got a good heart. The old song. All right, but it was that people laughed at that song, but there's a lot of truth to it. A lot of truth to it. You take somebody that's got no pedigree, average family, average working family. Father's an accountant. Father's a God-fearing individual. He prays in a minyan, and he's not enough money to live on. No big bucks in the bank, and the family's got an IQ, and they're pleasant people, but you wouldn't sign them on a Hollywood contract. That's a family, but they're nice. They're nice people, and they're polite, and they're considerate. But that's a family. But so many in shidduchim, oh no, this is not a highbrow family. I can run to the boys. Oh, look who I'm marrying my daughter off to. People avoid this. No, it's the exact opposite. This is the world of lies. This exact family, that plain, nice family, that's the exact family you want to go to. And that's a family you're going to find the nicest kids. And guarantee you'll find the nicest kids from these families. Because this the families, the dad and mom got a great heart. And dad and mom got a great heart. The kids have good hearts too, because they're compassionate and they're kind. They don't have their nose stuck up in the air. And they're kind to people. They don't say good morning. They don't have to say please. They don't have to say thank you. Who is he that I should say good morning to? Who is he that I should think? I sit in the eastern wing of the synagogue with the highbrows, with the high, and he sits in the back, the plebeian, okay? And he works for, he drives a mail truck. I should speak to him. Come on, get out of here. Get out of here. Put a pin. Now I need a Spitz to deflate this guy's balloon, all right? But I'm not going to do it. Hashem will do it. Hashem will ultimately deflate these people's balloon. Okay. Take the good heart. A person with a good heart is compassionate. A person with a good heart is kind. A person with a good heart is considerate. What more do you want in a spouse? Kind, considerate. This is what you live with, 320. And if they got a Munah, they live a Munah hour, they read a Munah books, they learn a Munah. You know what's good with the Munah? They're never going to raise their voice, and they're not going to blame other people for their problems. Oh, it's your fault. No, everything's from Hashem. And they look for Hashem. They're going to be happy with whatever they have. They're happy with their lot in life. That's the Irish lottery. Okay, a person with good character and with emunah, it is heaven on earth living with such an individual. So here's a big discount. I'll give you a big discount. Okay, so what do? I listen to Rabbi Shlit'a. I got to find a person with emunah. I got to find a person with a good heart. Got to find a person with good character. I'll make it easy for you. Just look for the good heart. Just look for the good heart. You know why? Because if you have a spouse with a good heart, the good heart is the easiest stepping stone for emunah. With somebody with a good heart, it is so easy to teach them emunah because they're open up to it. But because the person with a good heart is going to be humble, it's going to be compassionate, it's going to be generous, it's going to be empathetic, and it's going to be considerate. Okay, so he or she that they're going to have these qualities. What more better qualities do you want in a spouse? That's it. So you have a good heart. It's simple for them to learn emunah. All right, now, so here's the big thing. Okay, you get the information on paper. By the way, we're going to take a minute about what they have in America. I don't know if they have it in the UK, but I hear it all this fun time from America. A person says to me that I'm married, and Rabbi, you meet a lot of people. Maybe you have somebody for me, and this and that. And I said, well, tell me about yourself. He says, well, I'll send you my resume. I said, I'm not hiring you. Oh, no, here in resume. And in America, you have to send a resume, a shidduch resume, a resume for matching. I've seen resumes. There's not a single thing on that that's true, except maybe the birthday. And maybe a lot of times that's not true either. Okay, people change the birthday. You know, the women, people shave their birthdays, and, you know, from 40, she becomes 34. And I've seen that also. Seen a bit around, you see the white hair been around a block a couple of times, and see all this stuff. There's not a single thing on the things true, but a good heart right away. It says the resume doesn't say anything about the good heart, doesn't say anything about character, doesn't say anything about kindness, doesn't say anything about consideration, and certainly doesn't say anything about the fear of Hashem. All right. So now, all the time, look for the good heart, look for the good heart. Pay careful attention. We're going to find 3 points how to find the good heart. Okay, 3 points. Point number 1. All right, you agree to go on a date with this person, with this girl. You've done background, your parents done the background, you searched it, you listen to this, you talk. It seems like a decent suggestion, seems like a prospective match. It might work. Okay, you agree to meet the person for coffee or to go on a date. For us, going on a date means speaking to one another. It doesn't mean seeing a movie together or certainly not going to a bar together or listening to a rock concert together, because being together means being together. It means speaking, communication. You got to get to know a person. You don't get to know a person doing some type of entertainment. So what we usually do in Hasidic circles, we make the meeting in a home, either home of one of the parents or home in a mutual accepted third party. but it is chaperoned. But the young couple is not left alone. Chaperoned, they're not in the room. They have their privacy on room, but in the next room is the family, the couple, whatnot, and young couple. All right, and it's done in a very respectful, very honorable manner. And I was very pleased to see this, that when I don't mean to embarrass anybody, but this is praise. When I was had the privilege of being in Malvern a few times, and we see that the Noahide community in Malvern, they do it the same way we do it, the same way, very respectful. It's so beautiful. And then they're beautifully married people. So that's bravo. That's just one of the many, 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 many reasons that I just love this community and love visiting there. They just do things the right way. They do things the right way according to Torah. Okay, so you get together, you get the young couple together, and the family says background, it looks like a good family, looks like a good prospect. So you sit down and talk. Now you sit down and talk, you know nothing about one another, unless maybe the families, if they're families from the same area, maybe they grew up with each other. That's also a good thing, because here in Israel, a lot of Hasidic families, they marry into one another because you know the family intimately. You know the candidates since they were 2 years old, since they were 6 months old. And that also, now the families know one another. And so there's usually no surprises. That's a good deal. Okay, but if you don't know the other family, if your situation, you live in Los Angeles and they've got a suggestion for New York and you fly into New York to meet this young lady and you see her for the first time. Okay, young lady, young man, how do you know who's got the good heart? Question number one, is he or she a good listener? Okay, first of all, the man has to be the good listener more than the woman, okay, because a woman naturally, the way she's built, okay, she's more talkative than the man is. But right away, guys, you don't want to, the good heart means that you have to get into, let her speak and to find out about her, okay? And girls, if this guy, how many first person pronouns does he use and how many second person pronouns do he use? Is everything I and me, I and me, I and me, and he doesn't let you get a word in edgewise? Ooh, that is a sign that the guy may already have a partner, and that's his image in the mirror, that's his partner, and you're going to be the third one on the stage, and the three is a crowd. Okay, so if the person is a good listener, and second, do they respond to what you say or what you ask, or do they give what they prepared to say anyway? They're just waiting for the red light, so you stop at lights, they say what they said anyway, okay? And do they value what you say and treat you with respect? So don't confuse empty flattery with respect. The ears, listen to this, the ears hear flattery, but the heart hears respect. Okay, your heart knows when somebody respects you. They say, hey, you're so beautiful, you're so this, you're so that. That's the ears hear flattery, but you feel empty in the heart. Okay, so number one, that person's got to be a good listener. A good listener is an indication of a good heart. And listening is not hearing. It's the same difference between looking and seeing. When you look, you can see something, okay, randomly. When you see, it's concentrated effort. When a person hears, okay, hears something. But when he listens, listen is concentration. And when we listen to one another, this is very important in marriage, okay? This is important, all the time important to improve our listening ability, that we listen to our spouses and we're able to repeat what they say and see how they feel. That's number one. Okay, is the person a good listener? That's an indication of a good heart or the lack of it. Number two, when you first meet the person and he or she first starts to speak, look away, look at the eye, close your eyes, do something for a few seconds, focus on the voice, don't look at the looks. Because in Western society, we're right away blackmailed by the looks. In other words, bowled over by the looks. If we like the looks, then that's it. Then we accept it anyway. Even if we're not, don't like the looks, then we don't want to hear about it. Okay, listen. King Solomon says in Proverbs, Toras chesed al lishonah, that she has the words of compassion on her tongue. You can hear a good voice. I can tell you people with many instances where people have taken that advice. I'm even talking about my own children, where they went on a date with someone physically gorgeous, but then empty. and then went on a shidduch, a date, match date, with someone that was very plain looking, okay, but so kind, and end up marrying this particular person. They're happy with 10 kids, and once they get married and they're happy, they're beautiful anyway. Okay, so here, listen to that voice with closed eyes. Is there friendship in that voice? Is there compassion in that voice? Is there kindness in that voice? Or is there self-interest and self-centeredness? You can hear, if you close your eyes, you can hear what a person is. It's all about himself or herself. Okay, so the important thing in finding good heart is don't let physical attraction overwhelm your good judgment. Okay, and for that you need to listen to the voice only for a few seconds and hear what's going on there, because the physical will tell, especially when you don't know someone. When someone can be very attractive, but afterwards the negative character is apparent, the person won't be good looking anymore. But if you don't know a person, maybe look like he or she is good looking because you don't know them yet. So you have to listen to the voice. Okay. And number 3 is something we mentioned already, are most of the pronouns first person, I and me. If the person is completely talking about I and me, then that indicates a focus of the self. So a predominant portion of you pronouns, what makes you happy, what makes you tick, what are your aspirations, what are your goals? Because good-hearted people care about others where self-centered people do not. All right, now, so do that, the 3 tips, okay, what's it? The good listener, and does have a voice of compassion, and if the first person is second person pronouns. 3 small tips that'll really help you identify a good heart. Okay, it might sound contradictory, but in finding a soulmate with a good heart, you have to use your brain and not your heart. To find the good heart, don't use your heart, use your brain. Okay, objectively as possible, ask yourself, is that person kind or considerate? And to say that, you have to look away from looks. As soon as you get connected with looks, that's emotion. That's not brain. Attraction, physical attraction, that turns the brain off. That turns the heart on, and it takes the left side of the heart, which is infatuation and not love, because love comes from the right side of the heart. Okay, objectively as possible, ask yourself if the person is kind or considerate, if the person is even-tempered, dependable, modest. These are all characteristics you need in a spouse. And ask the person another thing: does the person come from a family with healthy interpersonal relationships? Okay, sometimes people come from dysfunctional homes. I'm not saying throw the person away because it comes from a dysfunctional home. Because a lot of times a person may be the exact opposite. You say, I'm not going to be like those parents. But and many times it's 50-50. You know, it's one way or another. Something wonderful people come from dysfunctional homes because they have such a bad example. It turns out so much they work 3 times as hard to do the exact opposite. But some people fall in the way. They speak to their spouses like their parents spoke to their spouses. So you have to be careful with that. Usually when people come from a home where there's shalom bayit, there's marital bliss, and husband and wife talk really nice to each other, that's the way the kids are. Okay, so you got to do your homework, and by all means, don't just trust your judgment. Speak to the prospects, teachers, the prospective person. He's got teachers, he's got spiritual guides, perhaps he's got neighbors, classmates, he's got a roommate, person goes to university. Speak to the roommate. The roommate's going to know whether he or she is kind and considerate or not, or whether they're bullying the room. So speak to them, okay? And all these things will help you. You are allowed, there's not time, you're not prying. If you're looking for a match, you are allowed to consult anyone you like, and you just need information to make a judgment. Plus, if someone asks you about someone in order to make a match for someone they know or for their child, you're allowed to answer, but only answer with the information that is necessary for the match. Okay, you don't have to say add all types of other things. All right. A lot of people say that, okay, wait a second, you got all these things, all these Hasidic concepts. Okay, I wasn't born with a beard and wasn't born with the side curls, and I came from the other side of the fence. I know what's going on both sides of the fence. So the one thing, yeah, we have dating, but our dating by us is for the purpose of getting married. And if you go on a date and the date only looking for a good time, bye-bye, take a walk. You can have a good time. You don't need a date. You can have a good time with your boyfriends or with your girlfriends or doing something else. You can have a good time putting on your Nikes and your New Balance and just running around the block or running across country. Okay, sipping a milkshake together is nothing about the future. Okay, so whatever you do, and I stress and re-stress and re-stress, don't let physical attraction and meaningless coffee house expressions of love make your head spin, because they're nothing. You have to talk to friends and acquaintances. And if you want real love, as any combat soldier, real love is under fire. Okay, when the bullets are whistling and somebody's willing to cover your back or to go the limits for that, that's real love. You have that in marriage. When you see that in difficult situations and a husband stands by a wife, and sometimes they've gone through sickness together and they've gone through, wow, really tricky situations together, and they stay together and they're stronger. That is love. That is real love. Okay, so speak with the roommates, and especially if you're not from an observant background and you have someone that also not from an observant background, speak to roommates, speak to people they know, and be very careful if you can identify a lot of stuff that people keep in the closet. Like they've got closet addictions. Person may be in drugs. Person may have a porno addiction. Porno addiction is terrible. To marry a person with porno addiction, that's as tragic, tragic, tragic. And try to establish all this stuff, because it might be unpleasant to be a FBI detective now, but that's going to save you a lot of grief afterward. All right. So look for the good heart. Again, I stress the good heart. You'll be happy for the rest of your life. All right. Now, today's false world of shidduchim, even in the Orthodox, so it used to be that divorce rate by us was about 7%, and now it's doubled. It's up at 15%, because things are going haywire, and kids are looking, I've seen kids at 3 months after marriage, they don't want to work hard. They're used to mommy and daddy doing everything for them, and they think their spouse do everything for them, and it's not like that in the real world, and they're not ready for marriage, They want to throw it all in. Okay, so what happens in the world? It's like the world of lies. Look at what happened. If we said that the people are looking for the pedigree, and people are looking for the good looks, and people are looking for the academic, and people are looking for the money, all right? So imagine in this false world of shidduchim, matchmaking, along would come a Rabbi Akiva. Okay, Rabbi Akiva is the father of the Old Torah. The Mishnah and the Gemara come from Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was the son of converts. Rabbi Akiva was illiterate till he was 40 years old. Rabbi Akiva was a migrant agricultural worker. Like somebody I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, somebody read about a John Steinbeck novel, Grapes of Wrath, picking lettuce in Salinas, California. If Rabbi Akiva were alive today, in today's world of shidduchim, nobody would go near him. Nobody would go near him. Rabbi Akiva, why go to Rabbi Akiva? What about Abraham? Abraham, nobody go near Abraham. Oh, his father is an idolater? His father's got Abraham, the first monotheist. Maybe you can see this. Do you know who Joshua married? Joshua, he was the judge of Israel. Moses' prime, Joshua, the prophet. Joshua married a harlot, a woman of the night, Rahab. Are you kidding? Who would think of marry her? But Joshua saw her. Where did he see her good heart? He saw that she risked her life to save him. She risked her life to hide him. She risked her life to help Jewish people. He said, this young lady, I don't care, this young lady, she's got tremendous character. So maybe socioeconomic conditions, whatever happened. So Joshua married her. You know who the great-grandchildren are? Rather, great-grandchildren, okay, listen to this. Huldah the prophetess, Jeremiah the prophet, Rahab's great-grandson, Baruch ben Neriah the prophet, okay, he was Jeremiah's scribe. These were all their great-grandchildren. But yet, in today's world of shidduchim, the highbrows, they wouldn't touch them. Abraham wouldn't have a shidduch. King David wouldn't have a shidduch. I'd say, oh, King David's great-grandmother, Ruth, oh, she was a Moabite. No, they got no pedigree. King David's a redhead. No, you can't marry a redhead. You know, King David would have a shidduch. Moses wouldn't have a shidduch. Moses, he grew up in they'd say Moses, he did grow up in a yeshiva to go to cheder. Abraham wouldn't have a shidduch. Okay, Joshua. This is all the crazy thing, but who would have a shidduch? Oh, so it's a young man. We have a young man with a great pedigree and a lot of money, and he comes from a very prestigious tribe. Okay, the tribe of Reuven. What's this young man's name? Oh, we've got the two brothers. One's name is Dosan and one's name is Aviram. Oh, and they're bright boys in the yeshiva, and they've got a lot of money, and they come from a very pedigree tribe. Oh, yeah, you know, these two. They have all the things that in the shidduch resume would want, but they just revolted against Moses. And their boss, he had even a better pedigree than us. He was a Levite, and he was the richest man in Israel, the richest family in Israel. His name was Korach. Korach, everybody would jump to have Korach as a son-in-law. Yet it turns around, Korach led a revolt against Moses. I'm just showing you this, according to Torah, what the Torah is telling us a good shidduch is, that in the world of shidduchim with the resumes, it's crazy. They throw all that out and all that garbage out. And excuse me, tonight's lesson is very politically improper in our circles. I don't care. Okay, what you want you and your children to have spouses with emunah, with good hearts, and no divorce, and smiles on your face, and wonderful children. And one of my blessing to everybody, my bless to everybody. People ask me, but Rabbi, give me a blessing for a shidduchim for my son and my daughter. You know what I bless people? And I bless all of you right now, that you should have such sons-in-laws and daughters-in-laws that you and your spouse think you gave birth to them. You don't know which is your son and which is your son-in-law, which is your daughter, which is your daughter-in-law. You think you gave birth to them. That is the relationship you should have. And that's what you will have when you have a son-in-law or daughter-in-law with a good heart. And you're not going to get a good heart if you go for the money and the good looks and the spitz and the pedigree and all the stuff we talked about. So one of the things that people are delayed in finding their soulmate is because they're looking for a body mate and not looking for a soulmate. And Hashem doesn't want that for you. We said, what we have to job? We have to accomplish our mission on earth. Our mission on earth. I'm just saying, you can see how wonderfully people accomplish their mission on earth. And I go back to, I'm so proud. I love this community so much, our Emunah Hour community. But take, for example, Malvern. Take the dark UK. Take our community in Malvern. It's lighting up all of the UK. And to see this light of Emunah just coming out of there, it's just going to be nothing but blessing. I don't know. It could be a big blessing to the entire UK because of that community right there. It just, I don't have enough praise. And we have community like that in Singapore, and a community like that among the Native Americans in South Ontario, another community like that in Texas, in Southwest Texas. And Baruch Hashem, they're far and few between. We hope we have more and more and more and more, because Emunah is for all humanity. This is not lessons, our Emunah Hour lessons are not for Judaism, they're for humanity, because Emunah is the first principle of Torah, and it's for all of humanity. Emunah is also the first of the 7 Noahide laws. Okay, so if your shidduch is delayed, don't blame Hashem. Listen to today's lessons, go back and say, hey, maybe I've been looking for long things. Maybe I've been looking for Mr. Flashdance or whatever. Okay, so pray, Hashem, help me find the right thing and help me look for the right thing. I'm going to conclude tonight's lesson before we go into questions and answers with a story. It's a true story. It's a true story about Rabbi Chaim Halberstam, the holy Divrei Chaim, the first Sanzer Rebbe. Okay, and don't be blinded by a blemish. Don't be blinded. It's like a blemish. Don't let a blemish blind you. Okay, because when you find an ideal soulmate, the Yetzer doesn't want it to happen. So to discourage you is with another word in Yiddish, a knetch. A knetch is a blemish. It's like when you have a perfect hat and your hat gets a dent in it. A knetch is the dent. It's a blemish. Okay. So I take that first image, you say Miss America with the snobby girl. There won't be any apparent blemish there. On the outside, it's all cosmetically perfect. But you take the girl with the good heart, the guy with the good heart, it's going to be a blemish. Maybe the person has some type of physical impairment or something, or they were recovered from a sickness. Don't let that get in the way, because according to, you find a perfect shidduch, then that's what happens. I'm going to tell you the story about the Divrei Chaim of Sanz, Rabbi Chaim of Sanz. He lived between 1793 and 1876. And in the Hasidic world of the early 19th century, parents arranged the matches, usually rabbinic families, they arranged the matches. And a lot of times you didn't see your partner till you stood under the chuppah, under the wedding party, under the wedding canopy. You're about to get married. It's the first time you ever saw each other. All right. So Rabbi Chaim Halberstam, that's the Divrei Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Halberstam's parents arranged a shidduch with the great Rabbi Baruch Frankel Tumim. He wrote a famous book. He was the rabbi of Lipnik in Poland. He wrote a book called Baruch Tam. He was a famous posek, famous religious lawgiver. Okay. And the Baruch Tam had a daughter named Rachel Fegi. Okay. So they matched up, the parents matched up Chaim, who was a brilliant boy with tremendous fear of God and a much higher spiritual level than people even knew about. Even if he was secretly, the boy, he knew Kabbalah just as much as he did Gemara. He could look into people's, he was at a very, very, very high level. Okay. So Rachel Fegi, she was very interested, who this guy she married to. And, they thought, okay, we'll see you bye-bye until the chuppah, the wedding canopy. But she found out usually what time Chaim walks to yeshiva, from his home to yeshiva. And she looked through the window, the living room window, and she saw Chaim walking to yeshiva. And she saw Chaim dragging his left foot. What? He's lame? She says, I don't have any blemishes. They're going to marry me off to a lame husband? And she looks, she's, I'm a nice young girl, healthy, this and that. I gotta have a lame husband. And she told her parents, she says, Mommy, Tati, you can't do this to me. But they say, but the boy, he's a brilliant boy, and he's pious, and he's got a wonderful character. Yeah, but she says, but he limps. And they wanted to call off the shidduch. All right, so Rabbi Baruch, he went to see the Tarnagrad Dayan. Tarnagrad Dayan, that was the Rabbi Chaim's father, Rabbi Aryeh Leib Halberstam, and they discussed the issue. What he told Chaim's father how his daughter felt, and Rabbi Aryeh Leib, Chaim's father, called him into the room. The other was Rabbi Baruch, which was Rachel Fegi's father. And they talked to him. They said, listen, she sees that you have this blemish and she wants to call off the wedding. And so Chaim says, he says, this was something unprecedented. He said to the two fathers, he said, before she calls it off, I want to speak to her. So they agreed. It's less revolutionary to let him speak to her than it's not nice to call off a shidduch. So Chaim met Rachel Fegi and in one of the parents' houses, and they closed the doors so they could speak privately, and he no longer concealed himself. He was a young lad, but he let himself show a spiritual level, and he said to her, Rachel Fegi, I know you're a year older than I am, and up in the heavenly realm, before I came down to the world, since you came down before me, I saw that they were preparing you to come down the world. And I saw that there was an angel who attached a limp to your left leg. And wow, I said, you're going to come down here at the left leg. And I saw it's really difficult. So I ran up to the heavenly throne, and I knew you're the other half of my soul. And I pleaded to the heavenly throne. I said, listen, a mother, she needs to take it seriously. She says, so many kids, a limp is terrible for her. It'd be easier for the father, especially if he's a Talmudic scholar, he's going to sit in the study hall. It's going to be walking. Mother has to walk back and forth, take her kids here, take her there, go to the market, go here. And I accepted that limp. I asked them to transfer the limp onto me. I took the yoke of your handicap onto myself. So at that point, Rachel Fegi, with her heart, she knew he was telling the truth. She knew he was telling the truth because she felt this to happen. And she right away agreed to get married. They had married, they had children, and everything. Okay, that's a true story, very true story. There's a takeaway to this story. If you've got a spouse with a good heart, a good character, and a good disposition, then that is a prime prospect for 120-year birthday spending together. And if that's your prospect, a marital prospect, marry the person. Okay, but the evil inclination is going to try and mess it up. So evil inclination will try to find a blemish. Now, if you're married to your soul partner, the evil inclination tries everything to get you divorced. So try to see a blemish in your partner. When you see a blemish in your partner, stop and think that that should really be your blemish. But your partner, out of love for you, before you came down, your partner decided to take that blemish on yourself. You said that the partner's got a sickness, partner's got something wrong. No, that should have been yours, and your partner out of love took that upon himself or herself. Okay, so just stop and think about that, and you'll have shalom bayit. You'll have marital peace for a long time. So that is a gem of advice I want to leave you with. Imagine that the blemish belongs to you. And out of so much compassion, that's what your spouse does for one another. Okay, so how can you turn away such dedication? All right, so with that in mind, hopefully next week, before we go to Manchester, next week we're going to talk about what love is according to Torah. Meanwhile, God bless. Have a wonderful week. It's great to be together. And Hashem, all your heart's wishes.